Welcome to Happy Today podcast. This is a podcast for those who want to improve service experience of internal services. If you use ServiceNow or other enterprise service management system, then this is for you. Hey, welcome to another episode of Happy Today. Today, we're going to talk about steps to happiness. So I think a topic many of our customers and people we talk with, the expos, are talking like, how do I get started? How do we get started? So where should we, Sami, start? What are really the practical steps to get started with employee experience?
The practical steps are much easier than kind of how you change the culture in the company. So, but very practically, just start. Don't think about the real moment that we start after this and this project and all that. Your end users are having that experiences already. So start immediately so that you start to understand how they feel.
Yeah.
That is the very practical. Put it up and running, start to learn. The next step for me is to start to share the information and share the information openly between customer and partner if you have outsourced service desk or with the agents or even the business and so on. So really start to use that data and showing everybody that you care about it. And that will be that is a really strong message to the whole organization in IT that is something you care about now.
Yeah, I think that's might be the biggest mistake if you first measure and then you're so scared of sharing it with everybody and you try to first, make it right or start to clean up the data or something like that. I'm totally correct. Just share it, because then you can have meaningful conversations. Why is the data like that? What does it tell us? And start to understand what's actually behind it.
And then there is not only one person owning that data.
Yes.
Because one person cannot change the experience.
No.
Somebody can be an expert on it and do the recommendations. And I think that comes to the next step, which is identify the kind of development areas. Of course, you should be also identifying those things you are doing right.
Yes.
And celebrate.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's when we are talking about developing services, you have to find those areas that can be done even better.
Yeah, maybe just even like find one thing where everybody agrees that, hey, this is a good place that we can fix. And if you can make an impact on that and actually show in the numbers, because you're continuously measuring now, then show that was there any impact on your actions.
Yeah. So let's say you started to measure, you started to share. Then one thing to get the people involved would be that you have a half a day workshop, innovation workshop.
True.
You just bring on the table 3 problems that you are having and get all the people involved to think about what we should be doing differently that we solve exactly that thing.
Yeah.
So for me, that is innovation. You have a problem to solve and then you talk about it. And that's kind of way to teach the people in your organization that culture of being employee-centric or...
Yeah. But I think we see so many different types of companies. So how do you see that the company maturity level actually affects on your kind of journey on this?
Okay, here we come to some organizations being very scared of this data. But the only thing to get rid of that scare of end user experience, because I said they already have that experience. So if you are the only one not knowing it, you cannot develop your services. So again, you have to start from the continuous measurement, start to understand what is going on. Next step being that transparency.
Yeah.
And doing the decisions based off the data.
Yeah.
Then it comes to the agreement level.
Yeah, and I think setting, if we still stop a little bit on the transparency, it really is a maturity level. Is the company transparent with the data it has, or is somebody trying to hide it and kind of own it and like you said, so that is really a maturity of the organization.
And also, I would say maturity of the partnership, if there is an outsourced service desk provider.
Definitely.
So are they willing, are you as a customer willing to see that data continuously and work together with your MSP to be better, because it's always cooperation there.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I kind of forgot that, but I think that's even the most important. When you have outsourced partners and when many times you have external vendors working with you, being transparent with them. So then you can actually, it leads to really good cooperation.
Yeah, in the history of the company, we have had cases when MSP has not been willing to share the data in the beginning, and nothing happens to the scores. But sadly, there has been also a case where customer, which is weird, was not willing to share the data with their provider. So that gap between the vendor and the customer was so bad, there was no trust.
Yeah.
Transparency brings you the trust, and then you start to kind of be more willing to also together to focus really on that one.
True.
And then we come.
Yeah.
If you now let me go to my favorite.
I would. So setting targets, because if you're measuring something and you don't set any targets, then why are you doing it?
Yeah. And I really, really hate the traditional SLAs, and I have said that so many times in different occasions. The reason for that is that it's not driving at all the end user experience.
True.
And that's why experience level agreements are the way to go in the end, but we are not recommending to do that from the first step, first day.
Exactly.
You first have to start to learn, you have to start to be with your vendor, you both have to trust that data. And you have to be first transparent to each other before you can really do that change, because it's all about trust.
Yeah, and I think we'll start doing some interviews and some episodes about the experience level agreements on their own, because it's a huge topic. So just understanding that part of maturity is that you cannot go there before you have done these other steps.
Yeah.
What is then where does everything lead to? What is like the final step in your point of view in the maturity?
More smiles, less wasted time is this. But I think it's about really being the culture of the IT and the whole organization partnership that changes, and that needs about 2 years from the beginning. It's not first day. But you need to build the culture so that everybody is really understanding that the end user experience is the real reason why we in service management and services, why we really exist.
Yeah.
And doing decisions based off that, motivating project teams with the data that, okay, now we set a target not to be ready 15th of September, we set the target to be making end users more happy and more efficient, which is more motivating. Yeah. Same thing for agents. So it's all about thinking everything you do from the perspective of the end user, and that's really a cultural change from the current situation.
Yeah, I was just visiting one of our customers, Campari, and they mentioned that the biggest challenge is the culture, because they are starting basically from scratch. But it's not the technology, it's not that. But so I would say also the biggest impact of employee experience measurement is that the change of culture.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to do with technology or having some nice measurement somewhere or even the XLA, but it's really the whole culture of how we develop things.
Yep.
All right. I think that's a good summary of how to get started. And we're always happy to chat more. So if you want to connect, you can find our contact information from HappySignals.com. But thanks, Sami. I appreciate it. It's, I think, a lightening understanding of how to get started. Thank you.
Thank you.